What's the topic for today, Lisa? What are we talking about today?
We are talking about time travel in cinema,
That's
all
right.
types of cinema.
Well, I was thinking about like time
Did I get my
travel.
first answer right? I'm so proud of myself.
I was talking about like time travel in movies and time travel in general. Like, do you believe it could happen? Do you think it's real already?
Yes.
Actually,
Yeah, theoretically, they've already done it.
well, all right, but I mean like real time travel, like what you see in the movies. Yes, the time travel is
Well,
real. You
okay,
can
yeah.
go forward, but you can't go back. But do you think it's actually exists right now in the future? What do you think?
Okay, but here's the thing. You have to discuss the idea of how do you feel like, how do we exist? Okay, so like in Star Trek, okay, in the Next Generation, they talked about how there's millions of different, like I could put my arm like this, and in another reality, I could put my arm like this. And
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
there's a
Yeah.
million different things that we could choose. But I don't believe that time travel is, I think it's all happening exactly at the same time. It's just a matter of where you bounce. I mean, time
That
itself is like linear.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot to take in. I don't. I just think that it
Did
is.
I hurt your brain? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you really did because I didn't. I don't like that at
Young
all.
ones can't handle the pain. I'm sorry about
I
that.
I believe time travel exists in the future, and it's just obviously it's controlled by the government. It's lock and key. You know, you can't get to it. Normal citizens can't get to it. I think time travel is used as a entertainment thing in the future. Where like if you pay like Westworld, if you pay a ton of money, like millions
Oh,
of
yeah.
dollars, they will let you go back to a time that you want to go to or go forward into a time. But there's rules though, I think. There's rules that you have to abide by. You
Oh,
can't
there's always
fuck up
rules.
the timeline. You know, you can't do shit like that. There's you know what I mean?
Did you ever see heard of the movie Time Cop by Jean-Claude Van Damme? He was
Yeah.
in it. That was actually a pretty good one.
I mean, I'm not a fan of him at
It
all.
was pretty. No, I'm not either. But I'm talking about when people do time travel in movies, it pisses me off when they don't pay attention to certain details.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And see, I think that I might be being biased. But I think Back to the Future has that's like the base for time travel rules. That's the basis that people need to go off of because that those movies, it's all about time travel, and they make the rules very realistic in the things that you can and can't do, and what you should do, and all that stuff. So I think that Back to the Future, while it is my favorite movie of all time, I'm slightly being biased. I also think that it is for real. Not for. I know it's not. I'm not an asshole. I know the movie's not real. I mean, like the never mind.
No, but how many copies of Back to the Future do you own? How many versions of the copies, I should say?
I have. I used to have single DVDs of all three movies, but then I moved up and bought the 25th anniversary DVD collection. Uh, then I bought that again on Blu-ray, and then I bought the. I'm sorry, it was gifted to me the 4K
Thank you.
35th anniversary, 30th.
I think so, something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So that's a lot still, and I have digital versions of them
And
too.
and didn't you say there was like a certain amount of minutes that were on it, and you were like, yeah.
What do you mean?
You said there's extra minutes of footage or something like that. Like you were
Oh no,
super
there's
excited
more
about
special
that.
features on the 4K version. There's all the stuff that came with the 25th anniversary, but then there was five extra things. So was it really worth it to purchase a 4K version of the three movies I already have six times already for five more special features? Absolutely, it was. I'd do it again in a
It
heartbeat.
was, especially since what we got out of that. So, I'm just saying.
Whatever.
Can't take it back. No
Nobody knows
backsies, no
about that.
backsies.
Listen, nobody knows about that. Okay, I've put out like several little hints to that, and nobody's picking up on it. Like I was that close to just deliberately being like, listen, she bought this for me because of this, but nobody picked up on it. I'm not saying anybody's stupid. I'm just saying,
Okay, so let's put to the side Back to the Future because that is the most obvious and quintessential time travel kind of show or movie that's out there.
uh-huh.
What would you say is a different one that you feel like did a good job? Well, let's do it this way: one that did a good job and one that did a bad job, and why?
Okay, one that did a good job. Oh Jesus. Um,
That's not Back to the Future.
Well, I can tell you one that did a terrible job, but I still love
Who's
it to
that?
death. Bill and Ted. Dude,
Yeah, they did, but
Bill
I
and
do
Ted's
love it.
Excellent Adventure
Yeah,
ruined history. Like,
yeah.
literally, they went and kidnapped historical figures and fucked the timeline up. As soon as Napoleon came back the first time, the whole thing would have been screwed up. But it's a fucking fantastic movie.
It's like the whole Simpsons thing. Like, remember how Homer Simpson kept going back in time, like squishing animals and stuff, and the future kept getting more and more fucked?
I
That's
don't
what I
watch The
feel like Bill
Simpsons.
and Ted did. Like, they. Are you? Wait a minute, what?
I don't watch The Simpsons. I'm not a fan of Simpsons. I'm more of a South Park guy.
I am too, but there's some. I would have to say, I only watched the first few seasons, and then after that, I just got bored with it.
First few seasons, South
But
Park?
overall, no, no, no. Well, yeah, too.
What the?
But of Simpsons.
Yeah, well, The Simpsons, whatever. Did you? Fun fact, I don't have it with me right now, but I bought the first 5 seasons of The Simpsons on DVD back when they came out on DVD or when they were selling them, and
Right?
I have a copy of season 3, which is not sold anymore. They took it off the market because there was a Michael Jackson episode in season 3 or whatever where
Is it when he was crazy, Homer was crazy, and the big guy that was in the insane asylum with him was thought he was Michael Jackson, but he was actually this big huge dude, but he had the Michael Jackson voice?
probably I don't know. I didn't watch it. I have no clue. I just bought it. But I have the DVD though, and it's
The
worth like
fuck?
hundreds of dollars because it's not on the market anymore. They got rid of it. They took it down. It doesn't exist. So anybody who owns a
You should
copy of
play
the third
that.
season, I I'm sitting on 100. I'm probably sitting on a lot of money right now with all these movies. So
More so if you never opened them.
okay, well, all right, fine. Hold on. What about this? I have an
Like I
unopened
fucking love
copy
that.
of Fiddler on the Roof. Huh?
Oh,
This
and
is
it's
probably not worth
Blu-ray.
anything,
Is it,
but still.
I was gonna say like $1.50, but thank you for showing it to me.
Whatever. Okay, I was just pointing out the fact that I have unopened movies. I also have an unopened copy of Maleficent when I first bought it. I actually have gone out of my way to purchase the movie again legally online to watch it, so I
Sure.
don't have to open my copy of it.
Oh my God, you are too funny.
What? So okay, so what's your idea of a
But wait a
good
minute, so wait a
time
minute,
travel
so
movie then? Then that does it good,
a
except for Back to the
good,
Future.
does it have to be a movie or can it be a TV series?
Oh, okay, either one.
I think one that did a phenomenal job that was a TV series, it was only for 5 seasons, was the TV series Fringe was phenomenal.
I never watched that, but my mom did. We have all the seasons. I should just watch the whole series. Those are
You should
unopened too,
watch it
actually.
because
She watched it on TV, and I never
that
watched it. We just bought the DVDs.
now somebody else said Quantum Leap. Now the thing about Quantum Leap though, oh, and there's like sliders too. There's Quantum Leap, there was sliders.
Quantum Leap, Jesus
I don't know
Christ.
if Quantum Leap actually solved anything though. I mean, I don't know. That was a weird one because I think the people who wrote Quantum Leap had fun with it, but I don't think they really adhered to certain time
Well,
travel
wasn't that? Hold
norms
on.
that are supposed to.
That doesn't really
That
have
was Scott
anything to do with
Bakula.
time travel. That just has to do with some guy jumping from body to body in different people.
But in time, he's in different time
Well, yeah, I
zones though.
know,
I
but
mean, he
like it's
goes
just it. Okay, I guess you're sure.
and he changes time. And then there's one, it was really cool, where he goes back into the family he was in before, but he's in a different character in the family. And he touches the hand of his sister-in-law, and she's also a quantum leap person, but she's like the evil alternative. So she's trying to undo everything that he's doing. So it almost, I guess that's the writer's way of trying to even out so that it can justify why they do stuff. But I still don't think it did that.
I don't have glasses anymore. Crazy. Sorry, just wanted to. Anyway.
Have you seen Donnie Darko?
Yeah, yes.
I would be shocked if you hadn't seen it.
I tried not to. I really didn't want to see it because it didn't look interesting to me at all. But then I did watch it, and I was right. It's not. I don't like it. I don't like that movie. I'm not that big of a fan. Maybe okay. The first time I saw it, I was a kid, so like I really didn't grasp the idea of it. And I know that that's one of those movies that are like what's the word? It's a weird timeline in the things that happen in like the people talking about stuff in the movie. It's a too big for a child's brain. I would assume that movie is. So if I rewatched it today,
But is it a good time travel movie though?
I don't really remember it that much. I don't even think was there time travel in it. Time travel.
I don't remember time travel being in it either. I thought it
Yeah,
was
I don't.
just
I
a
have no idea.
psychosis thing, but
All I remember is there's a bunny costume or something.
I do remember the bunny. Yes.
I don't
I
remember
remember the bunny.
shit
I
from
didn't
that
see it.
movie.
I just seen clips of it. Okay, so wait a minute. Did you give me a good I gave you a good TV series is Fringe for time travel. Did you give me a good one or a bad one? Did you give me anything? Do you give me anything, zombie? Seriously.
Hold on. I can't think of any time travel TV shows. Oh,
Or movies.
okay. No. Here we go. It's not really time travel. Well, it kind of is, but it's not in the way that we're talking about time travel. But the show Travelers on Netflix only has 3 seasons, and because they canceled it for some dumb reason, terrible idea. It was a great show. I loved it. It was about people coming from the future who inhabit the bodies of people in the past to try and fix something that happens in the future. But then, like, that spirals into
It's
all
almost
these
like
different
Quantum
things.
Leap.
Yes, but like it's better. Because it has
How is it better?
It has rules to it and stuff. There's like a lore that happens, and Quantum Leap is just like,
Did you say a lore? Like a story? Like a
yeah, there's
like
lore to
here's
it.
the
But Quantum
story
Leap
of
is
the
just
guy.
do they talk about it at all? I've never seen all of the show, but do they talk about lore at all in Quantum Leap? Is it just a dude who wakes up one day in another guy's body and he's like, I'm a pilot suddenly. What the hell's happening? Here we go. And it continues on for like 6 seasons.
Well, I mean, they did it on purpose. It was like back at the day, and they were doing time travel to see what would happen or some shit like that. And and then he can't get back home though. That was the whole thing about Quantum Leap. He could never leap
Yeah.
back to his own body at home.
Yeah, see that's okay. So the thing with travelers is once they send their consciousness into the mind of other people. They don't their physical bodies still exist in the future where they come from, but they beam their consciousness
Okay.
into people in the past, and they take over that person's life. So like their personality completely changed, and they have to assume that person's life. And so it's a little tricky with everybody else around them who knows them. If they show up one day at work and they're all of a sudden like wearing white after Labor Day, they'd be like, "What the? He never does that. Who are you? You're weird." Like stuff like that. So,
But I mean, do you think it
show,
adhered to the rules of time travel like it was supposed to?
Yeah, but So okay, so yeah, we brought it up too. It's the people are about to die. That's the reason why they're picking these specific people. Is because they have a whole huge database in the future where they know certain events are going to happen and certain people are going to die. So they beam their consciousness into these people who are about to die and basically save their life, and they live their life from that point forward.
That's like the movie Millennium with Chris Christopherson and Cheryl. Oh, you've never seen? Okay, it's an old film, but it was a really cool idea. It was like, okay, so way in the future, human beings are dying. Like, in order to breathe good air, they smoke cigarettes because the air is so fucking toxic. No, this is great. Listen. So what they have to do is they find airplanes that crash and where everybody on the airplane die, and they stop time. They go into the airplanes and they take all the living people and they put bodies of the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I just saw a comment that I have to talk about. I found
What?
Kirby has just mentioned my pick for a good movie that isn't Back to the Future that works with time travel really well. And I want to interrupt
Okay.
you. That's why
What is
you
it?
stopped yourself, so I didn't. Do you want me to say it?
Yes, I do.
The Butterfly
Yes.
Effect, the first one.
I love the butterfly effect.
That
Oh my
movie
God.
is fucking superb. I love
Oh my
everything about
God.
that movie. The way that it's a little the time travel aspect in it is a little weird and it doesn't make sense. It's completely fantasy, but it's a great
True.
idea, and I love it. I love it to death. I'm not a fan of like all of the stuff that happens throughout his life and how he changes things. Like I remember specifically when he what's his face, his friend in that one scene where when they were kids, and his friend fucking burned the dog alive in the bag.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and that was like I remember the first time watching that movie. That was the moment that I was like, I like this movie because I hate this guy so much. And I knew that's how I can tell if a movie is good or not. If I'm watching it and immediately like somebody or immediately hate somebody if they can make me feel something like that. Because usually I just watch movies and I'm just completely indifferent to what's happening. Like,
Right.
I'll just watch something and be like, oh, he got shot. Well, I didn't know him. He was only on screen for like 15 minutes, so it sucks for him. But like, if there's a character that does something and can act that good to make me fucking hate them, like that kid in
Yes.
Butterfly Effect, it was a kid too, for fuck's sake. Like, it wasn't a dude. It was a dude.
Right.
It wasn't a man.
Yeah, but he was
It
the kid. He was the kid whose father did kiddie porn with his kids.
Yeah.
So that's what fucked him up.
Oh, what other movie was he in? I saw him in something else, that kid. I don't remember what it was.
No, but here's the thing about that. Did you ever see the director's different endings that he made for that?
Yeah. I mean, I bought the DVD. I probably watched a shit ton of. Yeah, there was an ending where he lives and where he dies, right?
Well, yeah, so one of the endings, so there's a couple of different endings, but one of the endings really disturbed me and I didn't like it. That somehow they were doing like an ultrasound of the mother's tummy, like he was in his mother's stomach, and he hung himself on his. I'm like, okay, that's.
I did that in the womb. I did that. I tried to kill myself in the womb. I wrapped that fucking.
My
thing
daughter
around
did
twice.
too.
I don't know why I did.
Well, you know,
weird. Why are you leaving?
You know, you didn't want. Okay, wait a minute. But I have to say something. That actually is a whole symbolism of your life. I mean, you really haven't left.
I mean, come on. Who cares where my life is going? Damn.
I'm just saying it's very symbolic.
This is not a deep podcast.
You're like, I don't want to leave.
Deep. Let's not. No. God damn it. Yeah, I'm a mama's boy. Who gives a shit? I'm 31 years old. I live at home with my mom.
Oh, man, is your basement, like the apartment you live in the basement, isn't that like your mother's womb?
It's the apartment. It's a basement. There's not even an apartment. It's like just a room. The womb room. I live in the womb room. God damn it. I hate my life. I'm adding to it. This is so stupid.
Anyway, I digress. So, what was a bad time travel movie?
We already went over that. Bill and Ted.
Oh, yes. Bill and Ted was a bad one. Yeah. My bad one was The Lake House.
Leave. She already left. God damn it. What?
I said my one that I don't like is Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock's The Lake House.
Hold on. You don't like the time travel aspect, or you don't like the movie itself? Because the movie.
No, I like the movie. No, the movie's good. I actually met Keanu Reeves. It was filmed in Chicago. I met him. Okay, so I go downtown to this one art store called Utrecht. And I get out of the car, and there's all these trailers. And all these people are standing like several feet away the trailer with their phone, right? And there's this big, huge black guy standing in front of the door. And I'm like me, because I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, I don't think, oh, should I stand back? No. I go right up to the big guy, and I was like, so what's the deal? And he's like, Keanu Reeves. And before I can say anything, the door opens. And he comes out, and he's like, no, 100%. He comes out, and he goes, hey. And I go, hi. And he walks off, and that was it.
What? Was he filming that movie?
Yeah. It was filmed in Chicago, in Daly Center.
I can't. Thank you.
Literally, I was like, I had a whole Bill and Ted moment. He's like, hey. What the fuck is that?
Holy shit. I don't.
But he's very tall, and he is very good looking. He looks exactly how he looks on TV.
Well, why would nobody not?
No, but some people, you can see they do things. You know.
There was a moment, and I'm just gonna say it because I can guarantee that in my entire lifetime I'll never meet this person ever again, and they'll never see anything that I ever do. So who gives a shit? But there was a moment where I was really excited. So Days of the Dead is this convention that I go to, or used to go to every year, till we ran out of money and couldn't go. Which, by the way, I used to wear the shirt. I used to wear the shirt every time we went to the convention. It has the logo on the back. I bought this at the convention. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, we used to go every year. We went for like 5 years.
And it still fits. I'm impressed.
And well, it's a 3X. I went on a size up on purpose because I'm not stupid and I want this to fit forever. Anyway, so we went for like 5 years, and one of the years, they put they put out random guests, like they're mostly horror guests, and they have like a handful of the same guests that come every year, like just not regulars. So I've met like, I'm not trying to brag, but like I've met Sid Haig several times. I've met Bill Moseley several times. I've met Kane Hodder several times. Tony Todd, whatever. Anyway, so
I don't know who these people
are you kidding? Sid Haig.
I'm bad with names. If you tell me their characters, I'll know
Captain
them.
Spaulding.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, he's creepy.
And Bill Moseley, Otis in The Devil's Rejects. Anything else?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Tony Todd, Candyman.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Kane Hodder, who played Jason for 4 movies.
Okay, I've heard you say that name several times, so I've pretty much gotten that. Okay,
greatest of movies, but anyway. Okay, so one year they have regulars, horror guests, and then they sometimes bring on like wrestlers and then like other random celebrities that were slightly associated with horror movies at one point or something else. One time they brought in Tara Reid.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. And I was excited to meet her because I've made videos about this. I've talked about it. There was a whole big thing a while ago on here that I think Josie and the Pussycats is one of the greatest movies and has one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
Stop it.
And she was
She
was Melody in that movie. Right?
I just went down a little bit.
Listen,
I
was
went
excited
down
to meet her.
Okay.
And because she was, obviously she's American Pie. Everybody knows her from American Pie and other shit. But I went there for Josie and the Pussycats. I was excited. And when I got into the room, she was sitting over in the corner, like where her booth is or whatever. And I had to double take because I was like, that's not fucking Tara Reid. Is it? And then I walked up to her and it is her, but she looked wrong. Not like Tara Reid.
Was she the one who got the really bad boob job? Was she the one with
I wasn't. I mean,
in American Pie. Which one was Tara Reid?
Kevin's girlfriend, the blonde one. The one.
Right. And she was the one that they were virgins and they wanted to do each other first time and blah blah blah. Right.
Uh-huh.
She got from what I understand, she got a really, really bad boob job and it messed up her boobs. They were all lopsided and everything like that. So the fact that you said you saw her and she didn't look right, she probably was doing all kinds of stuff to try and make herself look a certain way, and it just wasn't working. I'm sorry, but
I felt terrible about it because
stay natural, my friends.
You should really don't.
If you can, that's not the same for everybody. Some people can't, but if you can.
It was a weird moment in my life where I did meet another person from American Pie. Shannon Elizabeth was there.
Which part was hers?
She was the Russian girl who was in love with Jim.
And she was awesome.
Bob Strike Back and all that stuff. So I met her. She looked fucking fantastic. Nothing wrong with her.
Do you know who she reminds me of? Do you remember the movie Summer School? And the one...
No.
Oh, have you never seen Summer School? Oh my God! You okay? We're gonna have to have a movie night. I want you to see that more than anything else because that was
every Friday, singular.
Summer School is about like this guy who gets stuck having to teach summer school, and all the kids in there are like doofuses in different ways. But this one girl, she's like a student from another country, and she looks a lot like, and she reminds me a lot of the Russian girl, like in American Pie. She's really cute and hot, and yes. You would like it. You would like it a lot.
Interesting.
Just saying. Interesting. So wait a minute. So going back to the lake house. The lake house, albeit a beautiful love story, they fucked it up in the end in terms of time travel.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. It didn't really.
100%.
It was weird that how they did that, or why they did that. But I mean, it was still a really good movie. Fuck, I want to watch it again now. I don't remember. I have to find it though. It's somewhere in there.
What was your favorite part of that movie though? Of course, I'm a girl. You can kind of guess which was my favorite part.
I don't remember the movie that much at all. I just remember the ending. I remember him getting hit by the car, and didn't they do something with like writing letters to each other in the mailbox that would like show up in the?
They did in the mailbox because she had bought the house, and the reason why she bought the house is because she was a doctor. And a guy came into her ER who had gotten hit by a car and died. and she was feeling all kinds of feelings about that. So she went and bought this lake house. And they shared a dog like over
Right.
time and stuff like that. It was really weird. And at one point, he realized who she was, but she hadn't known who he was yet. My favorite part is when he goes to the house party and they kiss, and it's like a really cute movement, whatever. But the thing is, once she realizes who he is, she puts in the mailbox, don't go to this one place, which would have caused him to be killed, which caused her to buy the lake house, and then he shows up to her right at that moment, which would have never happened because she
Yeah,
would have
but
stopped his
see
death.
the thing. Okay, but here's the thing. That happens in every time travel movie. There are so many things like that in Back to the Future that you could say the same thing about.
So then do you say
But
that just like in Back to the Future where they talk about there's a split, did she cause a split?
no. What I think it is every time, besides certain movies that specifically pointed out, I think every time that you're watching a time travel movie, it's the first cycle of everything. So whatever happens, even if you're contradicting what would happen in the past that if you're contradicting stuff that already happened in the past that you know happened, it's still the first cycle of you changing things. So it's not going to do anything. It's just movie logic. In real life, you'd fuck it up because in real life, all this stuff is already happening and we're already probably in the middle of like the 532,000th cycle and you wouldn't even know it. So
No, that's true.
yeah,
So I could wake up tomorrow and be in a different cycle, but I wouldn't know it. Or what if in our dreams we're in a different cycle? We're not actually dreaming, we're just jumping into a different cycle, and when we come back from our dreams, we're just in this cycle.
that's yeah.
Think about that for a minute. That
Yeah,
could
well,
happen.
so I can't help but point it out, but there's a gleaming fucking plot hole in Back to the Future Part 2 that, I mean, there's tons of little tiny things you could poke at in all three of these movies, but there's something in Part 2 that absolutely fucking pisses me off to the point where, like, how did you not see that and fix that? Like, they're all about making
Now I'm
time travel make
curious.
sense in these movies and everything that they
Right.
do. They're so specific about so many things. These movies could have fallen apart by the seams in the beginning, but they kept a lot of it together with logic. But there's this one thing that happens in the second movie that I'm just like, how did you? I get because it's like plot wise, but like, how did you let that go by? It's crazy. So it's a scene where
What is it?
so when Marty and Doc go to when they go into the future, 2015, they got to rescue Jennifer from the future house.
Yeah, yes.
So they leave the DeLorean out parked by the fucking lamp or whatever, and then the future Biff shows up, steals the DeLorean, goes back to 1955,
Right.
gives himself the sports almanac as a kid, and then comes back to 2015 to put the car back. And then just leaves. There's actually
He would have never come back.
We talked about this because there's a deleted scene after that from the movie where Biff
There it is.
disappears, but they didn't put that in the movie.
Disappears.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that was a good thing that they did. He disappeared. However, here's the thing. And they talk about this in every movie, and this is what pisses me off. Old Biff takes the DeLorean back to 1955, gives himself the sports almanac, already changing history.
Right. So he would have never been able to come back.
Yeah. So, and he comes back to the same 2015 to put the car back. It would not be the same 2015. It would be the alternate 2015.
No.
Because now, but then Marty and Doc come back to the car and they go back to 1985 and it's now the alternate 1985, which makes sense. But the whole Biff thing it's such a big, like, what the fuck, dude? How did you let that? I get it, because for the plot, like, you have to get the car back to them so they don't know. But, like, oh my God.
But there's a question then. So if I as myself go back and kill my grandmother when she was a child, okay, my biological child, then I would never exist. But does that really wipe me out, or do I just not exist in that timeline, but I still exist in the other timeline?
Right.
So if that's the case, then Biff could still do that because he would still have memory.
Yeah, but you can't
So
bring the car. He couldn't bring the car back to the same exact
Why not?
timeline because it wouldn't exist anymore.
It would in
timeline
his
change.
timeline.
He wouldn't change, but the timeline would. You can't.
So the car only moves in a linear fashion. It cannot change in
No, it's not the car.
timelines,
It's
is
the
what you're
timeline.
saying.
You can't. Doc literally explained this in the movie with the diagram on the thing. Like, there's the line, the timeline, 55,
Right.
85, 2015, alternate 1985. You can't. There's no way for him to bring the DeLorean back to the original 2015 timeline that Doc and Marty are in, because he'd be coming from 1955, the 1955 that he's now created with him giving the sports almanac. So it would be a completely different future.
So there was another movie and this talks to this. It was called The Phone Call. It was a cool old movie. Well, it's not even that old. I'm going to say it was the early 2000s. But what happens is this chick moves into this apartment. It's an old apartment, right? And she's getting away from her ex-husband who used to beat her and stuff like that. And the phone rings. And it's this woman. She goes, I know you're with him and I know you're there. And she's like, I'm not with him. This woman is calling from the past to the future. Whoa. And what happens is the woman, oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. So what happens is, so this girl goes and finds a teacher and talks about, the future and stuff like that. But what happens is, like, in the meantime, this woman keeps calling, right? And she keeps talking to her. And so, like, one person she talked to was, like, the old keeper of the house, And the woman from the past says, I got rid of him. And he disappears. He's not there. But the woman still remembers him.
Yeah.
But nobody else knows him.
Yeah, because she was there.
Because he doesn't exist. But how is she still part of it?
She's not affected by the timeline because she was there. But everybody else around her would be affected by the timeline because they weren't there.
But why isn't she affected by it? But here's what happens at the end of it. And this is what... So the woman finds this woman as a little girl and pours hot water on her. And the girl looks down as a grown woman. All of a sudden, the scar comes up on her body from where she was burnt as a little girl by this woman. Mm-hmm. Like, it freaks me out because this girl should have changed in her timeline too, but she didn't. She's on the same timeline as this crazy bitch.
Yeah, no, because if you're, okay, like, this happens all the time in the Back to the Future movies too, with Marty being the center of everything. He's
right
going around all these different timelines and stuff and changing things, and he remembers it and knows about it because he was there. But everything else around him is changing. So, like,
was it
what?
But was it in 2 or 3? I don't remember one when they go to the future where Marty's mom had married Biff and she had gotten the boob job and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But Marty existed in that timeline, but not that Marty. It was a different, because they were saying, aren't you in school? And he's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's 2 Martys at that same time.
Yeah, there's yeah.
How did he get into that future?
Everybody, because that. So, okay, when you change the timeline, that changes everything, including yourself from that time period or timeline. But okay. you like, okay, say I go back to 1950 and fucking invent Coke. When did it come out? Like 30s or something? 20? Maybe. Oh, it was way before that.
I was going to say it was older than that.
Yeah,
I was going to say.
All right.
Coke's been a while for a minute, man.
I go back to 19 or to 18 fucking whenever Coke was invented, and I come up with the idea to invent Coke. Right? I have, and they write up like a piece of paper that says, like, you invented Coke, and I have this piece of paper. Then I go back farther to before I came to that time to change Coke, and told somebody else to invent Coke, right? Like, say I go back like 10 minutes before I showed up and claimed that I or not 10 minutes, maybe like a month or something. A month before I claim that I invented Coke, I tell somebody else to do it. And then I'll go in, and then I go back to where I came from in my present time, and then I'll look up on Google and it'll be like, this person invented Coke, and it won't be me. But I'll still have the piece of paper that said I invented Coke, and I remember that I went through with that because I was there doing it.
But that just means you invented Coke in a different timeline. It just veered off.
No, it was the same timeline.
It couldn't be.
It was a different timeline. But that's what I'm saying. Is like, when you're there, present, in the moment, doing things, you remember them because you're a part of it. But everyone else around you is not affected by it.
They don't have any clue.
Yeah. So that movie you're
talking about. But does that mean Marty, though, who went to one timeline, when he came back, if he tried to go back again, he'd never be able to get back to that timeline because it's now changed.
Yeah.
Because he went back and changed something. So he'd never be able to get back to that timeline.
Yeah.
So the DeLorean although it can travel in a singular direction, it can't. But wait a minute. In the very last one, though, Doc seemed to be able to figure that out when he brought the train, the time travel train, with his wife and the two kids, Jules and Vern.
Uh-huh.
To me, it felt like he figured out how to not only go in a linear direction, he can go anywhere he wanted to.
Well, no, he just followed Marty to the. Okay, if you travel somewhere from one point to another, or if you change something here and then travel to another point, that's now an alternate reality.
Right.
And so anybody coming from that reality also would be able to go on the same track as you're on, because they were in that.
So here's the question though about time travel though, and people have done it with all kinds of things, and I don't know why these kinds of things always come up for me. But if you had gone back and killed Hitler,
Yeah, see,
would
that
that
would fuck up
negate everything that
everything.
really happened? Oh yeah.
That would fuck up so many. I wouldn't do that at all. That you would ruin everything. I mean, you'd save a lot of lives, but you would change a lot of shit. Like Pearl Harbor would have never happened. D-Day would never happen. There'd be no reason to have a Memorial Day or anything like that. Like nothing, none of that shit would ever happen. So it,
Okay. And what if you went back and tried to stop? Because the original reason why racism happened is because of money. Somebody tried to make it seem like somebody else from a different region tried to say bad things, blah blah blah, and that's where racism actually started. Could you go back and stop that, do you think? Or do you think racism is one of those things, or hatred or intolerance is something that will always happen and it can never be taken away, no matter where you go in time?
no, I don't think you can change that because that's people. I mean,
That's human nature.
racism is a product of the time period that it came from. So, like, it's been a thing
True.
forever. So, like, if you like back to when they brought all of them over on boats and stuff like that to specifically be slaves, like that's that's probably where you want to be like, listen, if you're gonna, but when it happened though, America wasn't technically America, and it wasn't, there was none of this, like none of these rules were like America's a free land and all that stuff. None of that shit existed.
Well, and
So they couldn't be
and
free
that
people.
goes
You
back
could
to
literally
though.
take anybody and be like, you're my slave now, and they would be like, well, how about
Yeah,
no?
but the thing is, and we would all want to stop slavery, and we would all want to stop this, that, and the other. But if we did stop slavery, there was tons of people who've from generations who've come from that. Does that mean you're going to kill off generations of people by doing that? I mean, that
No,
kind of messes with your head if you think about it.
I don't think no. I think the people would still
If you stop
exist.
slavery, if we stop.
I
Oh
don't
wait,
think
whoa,
the
whoa, whoa! So you took a person from here, planted them over here. They had children, then they had children, then they had children. But if you went back and stopped
Oh
that
yeah, are you
movement,
talking about like if you
that
went back and
whole
stopped
line
black
is
people from
gone.
coming over from Africa and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Oh well, then yeah, you're gonna
That's just like Hitler's thing. You'd screw everything up.
that's gonna fuck yeah, that's gonna fuck a lot of stuff up because then it would I mean it wouldn't, it would be a very different world, but it wouldn't fuck. I don't think it would fuck anything up as bad. Like
I mean, do you
I
think
feel
if
like
we just
Africa
if
would
we stop
specifically.
slavery, but people could still come over and just come over like any other immigrants come
Yeah,
over?
but that's what how yeah, okay, so I then America would probably still just be probably be Spanish people, and Africa would just be all black people, and China would be all Asians and all that stuff. I don't think there would be any kind of like mix. I mean, I assume at some point there would be that same thing
There'd
that
always
happens
be
where people
mixing.
would mix and it would just be all chaos like it is now. But like back then, I don't think there.
Oh, did you ever? There's an old movie by the had the BG or the Beatles and stuff in it. It was called
Hard Day's
Doctor
Night.
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely House. No,
It was the
Sergeant
Bee
Pepper's
Gees.
Lonely Hearts Band. Bee
Sergeant
Gees,
Pepper's
yes, Bee
Lonely
Gees. Why
Hearts
did I say
Club Band. Yeah,
Beatles?
my mom loves that movie because she's a
Yep.
fan of the Bee Gees, and I fucking hate that movie.
I've never seen the whole movie in entirety, but there a part in the movie where everybody just becomes gray because everybody mixes, and it's like
I don't
this
remember.
kind of
Probably.
alternate reality,
I didn't get very
and
far
like
into
everybody's
watching
just
it.
gray.
I didn't. I
That's
mean,
that's
it
because
makes
you're a young
sense,
pup.
but I think that's a leap. Kirby says,
What?
would anybody have a paying job today if there was never slavery? I feel
Oh,
like probably
oh,
yeah. I
wow.
don't know how that factors into anything. Like, why would that
Would
be?
anybody? have a paying job if there wasn't slavery. Huh, that is interesting. Well, think about, so
But
what
why would
makes
it be
me
a
think
factor?
about that, because the whole reason for slavery is because people didn't want to have to pay people to do certain jobs.
Uh-huh.
Nobody wanted to pay for somebody to
Oh,
come
I
and
see.
do
Okay, so
the
yeah, then there
fields and
would be no
stuff.
reason if there was no slavery. Then everybody would just be like, "I don't want to do it. You do it. I'll give you $1, maybe." Like what?
Maybe.
I
Well,
see.
this like think about like Star Trek, the whole Star Trek thing. I often wonder, do they actually get paid money? Because it's like a whole the way they work that sounds really weird to say, but the whole
Yeah, no, I know what you. Yeah,
idea,
they're just
do
like
you know what I'm
what?
saying? Because
Yeah,
the
but
whole
they're
thing is
but
about
the idea of what they're doing is they're just out there exploring and discovering stuff, and I don't know if that's like worth being paid for, but at the same time, I think it is because they
but
got
they
to be
have
part of a
everything they
bigger.
need. I mean, everybody has the same kind of room, you know, and they walk in the room and, you know,
I think.
they're all the same stuff.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean, that
God.
sounds weird, but
Yeah.
what? What are
So
people saying?
uh,
Hi, guys.
I just I think okay. If what would be one thing that you would change if you had the opportunity to time travel? What would you change? Bigger, small, whatever. I mean, if it's big, think of the consequences.
Oh.
If it's small, I mean, it could be anything. You could do anything, literally.
I don't think there's any such thing as big or small. I think anything you do
Well, yeah, but
causes a
that
huge,
depends though,
like the
because the
snowball going
butterfly effect
downhill, but
is the thing. Like it'll
it is,
if you
yeah.
change a small thing in the past, like you don't you tell somebody to not go to the store or whatever and tell them to go the next day or whatever, that could like lead to
Right.
fucking D-Day, whatever, or something, like I don't know, it's shit like that. But
You really should go see. I'm sure there's a video clip of it somewhere of when what it is so the Simpsons. I'm sorry, I'm going back to the Simpsons, but Homer has this toaster and it's messed up and he does something in it and it sends him back to like prehistoric time, like dinosaurs, right? And he takes a step and he accidentally steps like on a plant. And then the toaster brings him back to the present and everything's fucked up. So he keeps going back and forth, trying to undo things, blah, blah, blah. And it's really kind of funny because it's the perfect example of like just one tiny, like the
yeah,
butterfly effect, one tiny thing can affect everything.
so
You know what? I'm torn because when we talked about like Hitler and racism and stuff like that, I would love to eradicate that. But by eradicating that, am I getting rid of people that needed to exist or should have existed and stuff? So it's I think I do think about like okay, talk about myself. I wish I can go back and talk to myself. I think about this all the time.
you're gonna ruin the timeline here and your existence by
I
doing that.
know because here's the thing. I want to talk to myself and tell myself certain things as a child that it's not your fault, you know, that you're not
Right.
a stupid person, you're smarter than you think, blah, blah, blah. But then I worry about like, would I not know you? Would I not know the people I know? Would
Right.
I not be with a husband that I love dearly? You
Yeah,
know,
see,
because these people are my children.
that's the thing, like
You
I
know, I
think
think,
about.
okay, so here's something fucked up. If I think about sometimes going back in time, as I am now, and go back to the time like before I gave birth to one of my children and I'm still with my first husband, what the fuck would I do? Because I don't want to be with him, but then that means I don't have my kids. But I don't know the exact second that I was inseminated personally. You know what I mean? As a woman, you don't know
Yeah,
100%. You got a timeline, but
yeah, I don't know.
because what I want to go back and change would delete people. I mean, what would you go back and change? If you could change something, what would you do? Because you're
Well,
asking this question, so I'm curious.
I I don't know if I would actually change anything. If I was going to change anything, it would be minor things that I minor decisions that I made that led to stupid consequences or something. Like, okay, there was a moment back when I was young, very young, younger than I am now. Uh, there was this.
Younger than 12?
Shut the fuck up. See, now how come you can make kid jokes, but I can't make old jokes? God damn it! I'd go back and change that. I'd go back and change the way I fucking look. I'd force myself
Go
to
back
grow a
30
goddamn
seconds.
beard. No, okay. So I would do. There was this girl who was used to be my best friend, like my fucking right hand, literally. Okay, no, I walked into that one. Damn it! Shut up. Everybody shut up. That's not what I want. No, stop. I walked in. We're cutting that out. That's not going in there. I'm sorry. Everybody who heard it here heard it live, but nobody will ever hear it again. Fuck. Okay. Anyway, so she was basically like my
Unless
best
I
friend.
save a life.
Absolutely my best friend for years, decades. A decade.
A decade.
Still talk to her
Decades.
today,
You're only
actually.
like 21, so I don't know.
She was the first girl that I ever had a crush on that developed into like I think I love her. And I it's funny because I asked her I think a total of 4 times I was to like go like date me, and every time she was like no. And so the 4th time I finally was like, all right, fine, we'll just be best friends, whatever. It's cool by me. As long as you're still in my life, I'm fine. So but there was a moment.
But the said person is not in your life.
No, well, she still is, yeah, now, but she was.
Okay.
We've been best friends forever, but then TikTok happened, and like I drifted, and then she drifted. I still talk to her. But anyway, doesn't matter. Point is, so there was a moment where this is what I would change, where we were spending the night at one of our other friends' house, and she was asleep. Our other friend was asleep, and we were outside at like 3 a.m.
I've heard that before.
Just walking around the block, just talking to each other, and we got back to the driveway, and this was in the middle of. I think this might have been before the first time I asked her out. I think it might have been before the first. It was so long ago, but we were on the driveway, and all of a sudden, like everything just fucking. I was like tunnel vision. Looking at her, nothing else mattered, nothing else existed, and she had that fucking look in her eyes, like, "You're gonna kiss me, you should do it." And I'm such a bitch that I didn't.
Oh, you didn't do it.
I missed the opportunity because we leaned in. I was there. I was like being fucking magnetized. Like
you did the lean in?
Yeah, there was a lean in. We both leaned in. And there was a lean in, and then I was like, no. I backed away, and then I looked at her, and I saw the fucking gleam in her eye disappear, and I knew at that moment I was like, there it is. That was my shot, and I fucking ruined it. There it goes. That was it.
I gotta tell you, there was a guy who really liked me, and I did not find him attractive. I didn't find him anything, right? But he was a real nice guy. And we were out somewhere, and he said, "I'll drive you home." I said, "Okay, thanks." And he grabbed me, and he did that kiss thing, and he's like, "Okay, bye." And I got out of the car, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that was amazing." I mean, we never really talked again. We never went out or anything like that because I was already moving on in my life because I was already kind of dating someone, and he just kind of planted. But it caused shockwaves. So as a woman, I'm probably just making you feel even worse right now, am I?
No,
I'm probably making you tell me. Like if you had just given her the kiss, you would have caused shockwaves, and who knows?
Like, that's what I'm thinking.
You maybe have 5 children by now. Who knows?
That's what I was thinking about too. Like if I did go in for the kiss, A, would it have actually mattered? Or am I just thinking to myself that because what I saw in her eyes when I did that, I saw like there was a shot and you ruined it. That's what I thought. Maybe just because I was infatuated with her at the time. I don't know. But that's what I'm thinking about. Like, would it affect anything? And if it did, where would I be right now in my life? Like, how much shit would have been changed? Would I have joined? I probably would have still joined TikTok, I guess. But at the same time, probably not. Because the reason I joined TikTok was because I quit my job and at Walmart, and I went back to being my, lonely self, just living in here.
In your mother's womb.
All of my other friends had jobs and families now and stuff like that. They were moving on, doing their own thing, and I'm just like, well, this is the life. And then I noticed TikTok, and I was like, I mean, it might as well, right? So, and I had been doing dub smash at the time too, so I figured TikTok was probably a bigger, better version of that. So I was like, fuck it, why not? And then now it's turned into this. Is this going to be the official first episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, I don't remember. I mean, I remember we did the other one.
No, the other one is.
But
trash. I don't forget it. Forget it ever happened.
Did you literally pick out just the good parts of that other one?
Yeah, there's 3 minutes worth of.
Because I feel like that other one was really bad, and when you played it, I was like, "Did I really say that? Was that actually in there? That was good, I guess."
The stuff that we were talking about was interesting. It's just it really drags.
There's a lot of dead air. There's
Yeah,
a lot
it
of
really
dragging
drags.
parts,
There's
wasn't
no,
it? Yeah.
so forget it. Well, this will just be
And
another
this
one.
didn't drag. We didn't drag.
Well,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
yeah. Okay, all right. So
All
I
right.
guess that's the end of that. And God, I really hope it fucking saved.
Me too. All right. Bye, everybody.